I am working on D&D Pidge, and I just realized that you guys might actually be interested in learning how I'm doing this. So, without further ado, I will show you all the different pieces I've cut out so far for D&D Pidge. So I'm working on the armor right now. The material underneath the armor I'll probably thrift, but the armor itself I have to make by itself, so I've been using thin EVA foam that I've just gotten from the dollar store. You can see it's a lot thinner than, it's not the medium size, it's the thin size. For starters, this is the hip plate here. So it'll go here and on the front as well. So with Pidge's armor, she has 4 of these. One here, 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 and then one on the back. So I cut out 4. This is the general shape there, give you an idea. Then I also made the shoulder pieces. So the base shape for the shoulder, because you'll have to add detailing with craft foam. But it's 2 of these in a, and then I'll need to use the heat gun to shape it. But this is the shape for the shoulder pieces, and then you put 2 of them together to make the full shoulder pieces. They're oversized, so make sure to make them a little bit bigger. Then I made the 2 pieces for the knees, so this is kind of like how it goes. It will just need to be heat bent this way, like that. I'll show all the heat bent stuff afterwards. And then this is for the neck line. So I cut it at a slant there for the neck, so that these 2 pieces, only one of them needs to be at a slant, but so these 2 pieces can go together, and then I'll curve them both like that, so that they have a little bit of the shape that they need to have, and then there's 2 of them. They kind of reflect like this. And then the belt piece, I'll have to put something over top of it to give the round gem shape in the middle, but this is the base one, and it'll just curve like that. For the chest piece, I've already done the heat forming, but I'll lay it out flat so you can kind of see how it looks flat like, and then I've curved it just slightly, not too much, and this will be the front chest. Well, no, it goes like this. It'll be the front chest piece like this, and then once you have the neck piece over top of it, it'll give it the definition in the top part that you need. And then obviously I have the bits that go beside it on either side, like that, except it'll be better when it's actually glued together with contact cement, because definitely don't use hot glue like I've used in the past, especially for something like this where it's going to be moving a bit. See how I have the straight edge on the back? That's because the back's not viewable, so I'm going to make it a little bit more comfortable to put on and just put straps, probably Velcro in the back, just so that, like, nobody's going to see it. There's a cape in the way, so, like, you don't have to worry about making the back all fancy. But I do have 2 of them that I've curved for, those are the side pieces, and then this is the chest piece. And then this I've curved for the neck piece. The neck piece does have like a oval on the side. I will include reference pictures in the video. So at the end of the video, I'll share all the reference pictures I used with you guys, so that it's kind of a little bit easier for you to follow. And yeah, I'll show you more pictures in a second once I've heat formed everything. So when I heat form something, I use the Mastercraft heat gun. I always go to the 3rd setting, which I guess you can't really see there. Yeah, the 3 is rubbed off a bit, but I always go to the 3rd setting, and then I just kind of run it across here. Kind of go slowly, run it across the whole thing, and then I go very slow on specific spots until it burns very slightly, because if it burns, I find it holds the shape just a little bit better, and you can see the slight change in color. I don't know what other people do. This is just what I do. Slight burn so that it'll hold the shape better when you put it together. Yeah, it's pretty basic stuff. Then I take it. Normally I use 2 hands to do this, but I'm going to try and do it with 1 hand just so that I can show you. And just shape it. So I just hold it close. These pieces are fully done, so I'll show you kind of like the slope that I did on each piece. This, I'd say, is the ideal piece, like slope for the waist armor. So it's just a very, very slight slope. This is all done with a heat gun, all done with the technique I just showed you guys. This, I'd say, is the ideal slope for the shoulder pieces. Actually, maybe this slope is a little bit better, so it's a little bit more than the waist armor, but not much. Very slight slope. With the gauntlets, you're going to want to spin it all around. You'll probably have elastic there to put it on as well. With the knees, the knees doesn't matter how bad you make the slope, as long as you make it half decent, because if it's too thin, like, it's better to make it too thin, because if it's too thin, it'll just form to your leg anyways, so it should be fine. I made it so that it would just fit my leg perfectly, but this is not for me. This is for my friend, so we'll see how that goes. And then the belt thing, I probably should have made it a little bit less slopey, like this, but I made it like that. Just a very gradual slope. It doesn't need much. The neck piece, you can do whatever, because you'll be gluing it, like, as long as it's pretty bent, like, as long as you do, in fact, use the heat gun on it and make it roundish, it's fine. Like, it will be glued into place on the rest of the armor, so it's not a big deal how much you do there. And I already kind of discussed how much to do for the side pieces, so this is the side piece. It's a little bit more straighter on the back side than it is on the front side. The front side's a little bit more bent. And then this is just a very gradual bend, because it's going to be for your chest. Like, even this is probably too much. I probably should have done it a little bit less. I could go back and change it, but I'm too lazy for that. So those are all of the pieces I need for the armor, minus the helmet. I'm not doing the helmet today. Or, I don't know when I'm going to do the helmet. But there's the pieces, all the pieces for all of the armors except for the helmet. I'm inside now, and what I just did was I took a divider that had designs on it that were almost 3D designs. I took one of the hip things, and I cut it so that I cut this out in a stenciled way so that it fit around the hip thing. Now what I'm going to do with this is I'm not going to keep it as the plastic bit. I'm actually going to use foam clay to shape it. Like, this is not necessary. This is just like extra little things that you can do to make your armor look better. So I bought these stamps too, and they're 3D. So I'm gonna use one of these things and then put it on there, just so that it looks like more realistic armor. So one of these stamps will go on to the end of here, and then I'll use the foam clay. It'll go over top. It'll spread around here, and in 48 hours, it'll be dried and ready, like completely cured, and I can move it and I can put it on my armored, and then I can make 4 matching things of this. So traditionally that would take like 8 days, because it takes 2 days for each to dry this, but technically I'm just going to rip it off after 2 hours, because the shape, it will already be molded to that shape. It just won't be completely dry at that point. And like it says that it takes 48 hours to dry, but that's considering that it's a lot thicker and I'm putting on the thinnest layer possible, so it could potentially actually be dry after a couple hours. So I will actually report how dry it is after the 2-hour mark. This foam clay that I got from Arda. So it's just this stuff, and I'm kind of pressing it into the pattern. This is plastic, so it's easy to peel stuff off of once it dries. This foam clay will dry into EVA foam, so once I press it into here, it's going to keep the same pattern. And I've just kind of laid it over top of that design, and now is just trying to smooth it out as much as I can. and then I'll cut it, like I'll let it dry, and then I'll cut out all the edges so that it's smooth, and then I can use contact cement to put it onto the armor to give it a nice, more realistic look. It's actually only been about an hour on this, but it feels really dry, so I'll take it off so that I can continue with the next piece. Yeah, so it's coming off really smoothly. It has the crosshatches. I wanted the crosshatch design because I wanted it to look like fake leather almost, and because I didn't really have anything else to do it. It is still wet, but it's fine. So you just kind of pull it off like this. It's quite simple. You can see all the designs on the thing. Peeled it off completely from there. You can see if I zoom up close enough, all the detailing there. And when this dries completely, it'll be just the same, it'll be the exact same as any other EVA foam, except thinner because I apply a thin layer. You can apply a little bit thicker, but I don't want to waste a lot, especially since this is detailing. So this is just a thin layer of EVA. It'll become a thin layer of EVA foam. Like, you can see how I did the trimming on here in a very similar way. That's the pattern there. So that was all pressed, and then I spray painted it green, and I glossed it over with a little bit of copper paint. So it was pretty simple. It just adds a little bit of texture to an otherwise smooth trim. I'm working on the helmet part. And I took a old helmet from, so I went to a costume store, or you can probably go to a dollar store, and I got a old soldier's helmet. So I took the feather bit off of the head of the soldier helmet so that it is just the base helmet itself. You can pretty much do this with anything. This one's convenient because you can see how it already has like little side bits. They're supposed to be moving. I'm just gluing them in place because that matches Pidge's helmet. But if they don't have that, just make those like side bits out of EVA and craft foam. So I'm going to solidify everything underneath with EVA foam. I'm lucky it already has kind of a little bit of a shape to it. But if it doesn't have a shape, I would suggest using, I'm using craft foam for this, but I would suggest using the foam clay again, because then you can add in all the details and designs to it as well. I don't know if I'm going to add the designs to the helmet yet, because I'm not sure if I like that look for it. So I'm just sticking with craft foam for now, because it's a cheap helmet that I'm just, molding into working for different functions. Likewise, I bought a Viking helmet, and then I cut off the edges for it so that I can kind of combine it into the other helmet, and hopefully it can all kind of work together.